Hello, this is Robin. I'm at the Salute Convention for Wargames, and the date is the 6th of April 2019. The venue was up in London at the Excel Centre, and I was focused very much on just about everything in the show. Here's me trying to say that I was focused on just the 15mm sci-fi, but actually I was going everywhere with my video camera, and I've got lots of footage from there which I intend to slowly put out onto the web with voiceover information on it. I am the writer of the Grunt's 15mm sci-fi rules, and I know were published in 2012, so it's been a few years now, and I'm working on version 2. So my energies are all refocused again on 15mm sci-fi, so this particular video is all the 15mm and related style models that I saw at the show, and as I wander through I'll talk about them. So, starting here, I'm on the GZG stand, which is run by John. He's been running these Wargames conventions. Well, when I say running, he's been standing and selling his fare at these different shows for many years. So I've seen him at Salute from way back when it was at the Olympia location and various other shows around the country. John used to produce a whole range of 28mm scale models as well as the 15mm, but in recent years it's the 15mm scale models which you see here, and these ones are from the Moon Grunt range, which is an expanding kind of zero-G range of models with a kind of almost a retro tech feel to them, with that sort of moon colony 1970s brave new world of space travel, which may have turned into combat. So I think he does a USA and a Chinese style army here. And these little moon buggies are new ones which we saw at the show. There's a 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, and 6-seater model as well. And that's the whole sort of miniature range he's got there. I've noted that John has said that many of these now are produced in 3D designs before he makes them into the casting in metal models. So they are a little bit more detailed than his older ranges, although in keeping still. You can see some of the older ones in cream there, and I know that John spent many years at Ground Zero Games sort of putting bits and pieces on tanks and producing those, but they are looking a little bit more chunky than the latest stuff that he's got. As you can see there, they've got larger, what look like plastic hard pieces on top of them as they were constructed. Of course, John's always made fantastic miniatures, so despite those ones, the early models being handheld, there's a kind of classic style and feel to them. So here I am basically whizzing through the cabinets, so you'll probably get really annoyed with me at points, but I try to stay steady at different stages. Now, if I was to try and produce a full catalogue, one cabinet row at a time, I would be here all the time, and there's two problems with that at the show. One, John's got customers that I was getting in the way of, and all day, right up to the end. I was booted out of the show actually at 5:15 or so. He's got customers still parting with money, including myself. So yeah, it's very hard for me to take up all the space and pause and everything, so I tend to sort of flip between things as people move around the stand. So unfortunately, if you want me to pause on everything and you feel frustrated at any point, I can't really help you, because there's a limit to what I can get through at the show in a day, because I was going around nearly every stand and picking up all the eye candy I see and taking footage. So I think I mentioned, so if I'd maybe at one point I can have a chat to John about maybe a visit to his location where they cast up the models, and if that's the case, he might let me go much more slowly through his cabinets and photo and also film them. So those are very nice, and those are the various walkers and industrial worker units. I know they've been painting that kind of yellow aliens walker kind of feel, but there's a few nice ones in that kit. And they have I know they come with two different front canopies, so one you can have the sort of glass canopy on show, or you can make them look a little bit automated with a kind of robotic AI sealed front. Or that could just be the fact that the driver's inside and a little bit more protected by extra armour plating over the screen. So on to some of the technical details. While I was filming this, I have a Panasonic G7 Micro Four Thirds camera, and on top of it I have a Blade to video recording device thingy, which is like a screen. But one benefit of that is that just occasionally I may take a photo, and because the external recording unit is taking a stream of exactly what's on the camera, when I take a photo there'll be a momentary pause. If you see that happen, like a strange total freeze frame for a moment, if you hit the pause on YouTube at that time, you'll get a freeze frame that's much higher quality than just trying to freeze the motion video. So those are the old Kravac. They've all been remoulded, recently resculpted. Very nice models, and a huge range of different ones with, as you can see, heavier weaponry, bike riders as well, which are great, and they've given them that kind of Kravac feel like the spaceships. Very nice on the little speeder bikes there. So yeah, reminder again, if you see the screen freeze for a moment, hit the pause, and it should be quite a good high-res image of what I've captured on screen. And as I said before, because there's so many other customers on the stand, it's quite hard. I would love to do a pan from one end to the other, but I'm ending up having to sort of pan side to side. Of course, that does give it some benefit. There you go, there's a picture. So you see the way that paused and the screen flashed? If you capture that happening while you're watching this, pause the video, and when that happens you should get a very good freeze frame, high-res quality image of the footage without it looking a bit blurry. So there's this Pan-African Union light infantry. Oh, back, just mentioned earlier, the Moongrunt stuff that is available. They've got Chinese, British and USA. Now these buildings, I've done a lot of live, lengthy, extremely boring videos that people can watch on YouTube. I've been uploading them, but I've been streaming initially to Facebook because I actually get an audience there. But these little fittings, I've had a lot of these just recently purchased off John, and I've been using them, the doors and various other items, on the MDF buildings. Another photo taken there that paused the screen. And you can see they've got everything from those little circuit pieces and everything else. I've been loading those and gluing them onto MDF. So if you look at some of my other recent videos, there's one I did a 15mm terrain one, which is uploaded in the last couple of days actually, and that has footage of those items having been glued onto an MDF building. It gives it that more sci-fi feel, so that kind of boxy MDF terrain look that you often get. I bought those two police guys there to Mecca, so at some point I'll be showing a build of those. I think it's interesting, one of them has like a club. It reminds me of Futurama with the police in that would go around clubbing people with those strange lightsaber things that look like clubs rather than lightsabers that are going to cut you. Slightly out of focus, and back in focus. So some new things here. I bought those, you see those kind of artillery pieces on the left, the ones with the squishy up wheels when it's deployed, compared to them non-deployed in wheeled towed mode. They come as a kit that actually has the stowed and unstowed option of the undercarriage available for you, so you can actually pick, do you want it in unstowed or stowed. Unfortunately only one set of wheels, so you can't really, unless you magnetise the wheels, you're better to buy two. And they have the sort of quad laser and then a dual laser variety of there. And the new Federal Stats, not the new Federal Stats, the new Israelis on the right hand side there next to that Jeep. They are fantastic new sculpts, and he's now starting the whole range of those new Israeli models. So they're no longer old new Israeli, they're new Israeli, and they're going to feature various different rifle packs that he's doing, and heavier weapons and mortars, etc. But at the moment he's just got two rifle packs, which I snapped up. They're about 1mm or fractionally taller than the previous range. Another photo frame there that you can pause, and well worth investing in, I think. So even though they're slightly taller, they still fit in with the rest of John's range, but they just feel like the heavy carapace armour stuff that they've got on is more appropriately sized, because the last new Israelis were a bit small. So those are the drones, very nice models with various different weapons that can sit on there as well. I know my friend John, shout out to John, is building a crusty army and using a lot of those drones there, which is painted up and augmented with extra add-on features. And I was talking about this earlier, look, you can see one of those walkers has like a metal front and the other one has the canopy on show. And that comes in all the kits, so you get to choose, do you want it with a sort of sealed, armoured canopy, or do you want the visible canopy? So great different combinations there. So just a continuation there of whizzing through. Brethren of the New Light, they're not even ones I'm familiar with, to be honest. They seem to have that unusual sort of domed, almost that sort of Japanese style. What's the other thing? That Star Wars style of the swept back helmet, like like a bicycle time trial cyclist would wear, with a swept back style to it. And those Outrim Coalition speeder bikes, very nice, very sizable, chunky front to them as well. I think if you were going to put some statistics together for grunts, they'd have a reasonably heavy hull in terms of protection. There's some civilian industrial powered worker suits. They look suitably sort of Tonka chunky, don't they? I think they'd look great if they were done in like a yellowish sort of industrial suit style, maybe because they're working in a hostile environment as well. So switching here, I've gone to the old Full Thrust. So Full Thrust is a Starship fighter game I've played 20 years plus, I think I've been playing it. I've got a few different fleets. I've got a Federal Stats Europa fleet. I don't think he's got those on display here. Straight away, unfortunate thing there is those Japanese models, which I have a set of actually, are painted white, which means the camera glare on them makes them very difficult for you to see, but those Scandinavian ones are nice. And these are the exciting ones. The Kravac are back. So again, I think these are now 3D designs from John, because the level of detail on them is a whole leap up from the older model ranges. Again, his older ones handcrafted, like those crusty ones there. And these new Swabian leads always had that nice large front and rear hull sections. Are stunning models, but they are handheld. Oh, there's the Federal Stats Europa, the FSC, I think the top ones. Again, they have that large flat style to them. Use the show footage audio in the next scene, where I was talking to John about putting together a Jeep, and another customer was sort of advising, because they're a very tight fit, they're 3D made, and after being cast, the Jeeps sort of go together in a solid fit. So over to John for the moment. Here we go.
So the new little Jeeps up there.
Yes.
What are the options they come with?
Right. Basically, you've got 3 lengths of the vehicle.
Yeah.
There's the short, the extended, and the long one.
Yes.
And the basic one, the A version, comes with just the top hatch.
Okay.
But the B version comes with the man turret mount.
Okay.
You get enough for 1 turret mount, but you get all 4 of those weapon variants with it.
Okay, right. Well, I'd like the one in the medium one, if possible.
Or you've got the missile one, which again has 1 missile mount, but it can be assembled as any one of those 3 types.
Okay, right. So
they also fit beautifully together.
So 2 of the medium size.
Yeah.
And then what do I do to get the packs? Just start.
You order a B or a C variant of it.
Okay. A B and a C variant then.
So you want 2 vehicles.
Yeah.
And one with one of each missile and 1
yes, please.
turret mount.
They fit beautifully when you try to put them together.
I bet they do.
Because they're all computer. Johnny explained to me.
Oh yeah, they're 3D designed.
I've actually got them and this lot.
Yes.
You press them together, hold it upside down, it doesn't move.
Oh, yeah, neat, very neat.
Do read the notes on the website about how to assemble them.
Okay.
Because the tops are an extremely snug fit into the chassis.
Okay.
And the way I do it is you upend the top upside down on a workbench on a slightly giving surface so you don't bugger the lights up.
Yeah.
And then align the chassis on it and give it a sharp rap with a soft hammer.
Oh, and it'll pop on.
And it'll just straight in.
Yeah. Get some super glue in there.
The other trick,
Don't even need it with a lot.
the other important trick, make sure you glue the back door
Yeah.
into the top first.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, you'll never get it in.
Yeah, of course.
So-
You won't be able to squeeze it in afterwards.
Yeah. So back door into the top,
The top, okay.
and then basically just gently tap the top into the body,
Yeah.
because where the door.
So here I was back taking a few more shots, and another kind of relatively lengthy section of me browsing around all the stall, or booth, and there you can see the new sort of skimmer, which is very interesting, a very I would call that new skimmer kind of almost Buck Rogers sort of style, with the wings, sort of 1950s style wings on the side. Back again here we've got the Moon Buggies, the British range here. And I did purchase those as well because they're fantastic, and also, I mean, they can double as anything, can't they? As mini transports, cars, sort of. They're like the the classic old James Bond. When you're in the main protagonist's base, they might be little buggies like that whizzing around, taking various workers clad in orange with white helmets around the base. So those are nice for that use, or you could use them as a kind of a Moon Zero-G bouncy buggy as well, couldn't you? So again, little photo shot there, freeze frame of the new items. I always liked those hover style with the skirt style tanks there. They're nice rounded front. There's something about that skimmer sort of small vehicle there with those canisters, and they obviously come with the different propulsion options which you can purchase. I went for the ones with the mini pads that you can see to the left of the one with the canisters. But it's a fascinating bit of tech, that, with the cylinders. I don't know what kind of propulsion you call it, but I do like that look. It gives it a nice sci-fi look. Oh, some nice zero-G kind of space-suited guys down there. So one reason I'm whizzing around these different stalls and collecting more 15mm is obviously I do upload video content of the progress being made, and I've got a rig now set up to record live. And just as a general observation, if I stream to Facebook, I get many more views than YouTube now, so I'm still kind of in a weird status of not sure whether I should stick to streaming live on Facebook at all, because the views are so low, whereas on Facebook I now have quite a strong community of 15mm players, which, it's just that much stronger to be in a community that you go live, and obviously whatever Facebook does tells people you're live. I know YouTube does the same thing, but I kind of experimented recently. I went live on YouTube, and I think by the end of the hour-long session live, I had literally like 2 people watching, and one of them had not seen 15mm sci-fi, which was great, but then instead of actually joining in the conversation, they just spammed their channel. It was just them taking the opportunity to share their information rather than join in the community. So it's just unfortunate that YouTube is getting a bit like that for me compared to the benefits that I get on Facebook. But I still load here as well. I won't stop loading, but I probably won't go as live as often on YouTube as I do on Facebook. So this is the booth stand of Cerisa Precision, and a lot of that is 28mm, but they do have most of this stuff on their website is also available in 15mm as well. And it's obviously that flat packed MDF terrain that you can see there. They don't come pre-painted, so you have to paint them. And I was just skimming along. Those are the 28mm obviously, but just underneath this set you can see from 15mm. And I think they do those kind of Vietnam type riverboat style shanty shacks there. I think they do them in 15. And there's a 15mm warehouse type model, the one I'm building. And some more 15mm classic looking buildings down there, North African style. So yeah, I mean, I can certainly agree that these look good. They do take that effort of having to paint them up, which takes time obviously, but for 15mm it's fantastic, especially if you augment them with some extra detail. So this is Gaslands, and there are quite a few Gaslands boards around. In fact, I play Gaslands. It's the what's it scale? 20mm scale generally of small Car Wars event, and this guy has built a nice set of bespoke terrain. He's built those things like that under construction apartments there. He did all himself from foam core, and then built these MDF medium density fiberboard panels that look 2 foot by 2 foot, which is a classic Wargamer sizing, and built road on it, and it looks great for the Gaslands. Obviously could be used for 15mm as well, so that's why I stopped. And my friend Jonathan chatted to him about the different techniques he used. One issue we did see with this layout, and it's not really that visible or a big issue, but the corners of his medium density fiberboard 2 foot by 2 foot panels were warping up at the edge, so maybe he stores those in the garage or shed, and to be fair, even if you just paint PVA and sand on them, they do tend to warp at the edge, the MDF, so maybe it needs to go on a frame or something. Or actually, I've used thicker. I think that's probably 4 or 5mm MDF. If you go up to a thicker, like an 8mm thickness, they tend to stay a lot more solid and less sort of warping at the corners. I was actually looking all over the show for, on the back of that shot there, those fluorescent green templates for the Gaslands game, and it's a shame I couldn't find them, but I'm sure I can get them online somewhere. So this is the Brigade models stand, and as you can see, it's got a variety of Hammer Slammers miniatures there, fantastic looking. Obviously been around a long time with those large skirts, but they look great. Skirts, skirted hover vehicles. That's Jeremy, or also known as Jeremy. You may know him if you're in the 15mm sci-fi community. He also did some 15mm dungeons and various other bits and pieces, but he's puts on some great show games and has often helps out on the Brigade model stand, because he's early, I think he did 2mm sci-fi and sculpted them himself. Tony produced those for him, so obviously they kicked up a friendship and they've stuck together helping out with various things over the years. So some nice terrain there, like golf ball style terrain items are rather sweet. I think they were on one of the terrain tables. In fact, there's a sci-fi moon game, and I know I should have gone there because it was 15mm, but I never made it, so I'm sorry about the fact I didn't get any footage. I'm sure someone has. But I say I did take, while I was there, probably about 3-4 hours of footage, which means I'm doing a lot of filming and stuck in a lot of places whilst also trying to spend my money. So not 15mm these, but they are obviously the 2mm scale, suitable for another war game that I've written called Imperial Skies, which Tony sells the models for, the sort of aerial combat Victorian-esque style airship game. And these ground buildings are very successful for him. I think he's the only person that does that scale terrain regularly seen at shows. There's my Grunts rules and my Imperial Skies rules, so thanks to Tony for... Got a nice shot of him there, freeze frame. Thanks to Tony, he's selling both of my products on his stand. So again, as you can see, quite often I can't get in, and that's the same throughout the day. And I don't like to, because I'm not, well, I usually spend money as well, to be fair. I spent a lot at the last show on some Brigade 15mm, which I'm going to do a painting video on. But it's tough to get in when I'm just in the way of customers that have got their money out to spend it with Tony. I don't like to get in the way of that. But so these ones are not the best of shots. I was in a bit of a hurry to get in and out without disturbing the flow, because this was earlier in the day. So some nice hover-based and wheel-based ones there. I can't remember if they're the Chinese models on the top row of that. And then there's Tony's 6mm scale, which is another thing I'd like to do for Grunts sometime, is to take a look back in 6mm, because that's my roots with Battletech and Dirt Side 2, the old game by John from GZU. I just love playing those games, so I'll probably at one point go back into 6mm. Those are the Russian, and I did take a shot there, a photo, so they would have freeze framed for you to have a look at. So what do we have there then? This is a set of terrain by Foreground, 10mm scale I think for the Games Workshop game, and because I'm so out of touch, I'm too old now, I don't even know the name of the Games Workshop game. I know they recently published its smaller scale. It's like an Epic, but it's not, and it's got big vehicles, and obviously this terrain can be used for that. I think you get away for 15mm as well. I mean, a power station thing like that, it's got enough space to put some 15mm characters along the edge of it, and that landing pad would also work for 15mm, I think. A bit out of focus there, but yeah, you can see they're obviously promoting it for use with the Games Workshop game, but everything on there to me looks like you could use it for 15mm. And again, these tall buildings, they do look a bit sort of 10mm, don't they? But they're large. They probably get away with all those little windows for 15mm, I think so. So those are foreground. The roads look good. Lots of sort of rubble and detail on there, and that's that's the kit even for Desiree, micro-scale industrial sector. So you can get that in one big sort of box. The first one has some nice sort of tram line details on there for the mine carts, for the look of them, I think they are. And they've obviously done some detailing on the table with some sand and debris on there too. So I was just browsing the foreground stand at this point, because I love the foreground stuff. You can see all that detail there. I think I showed you Sarisa that do excellent MDF as well earlier, but the foreground tends to be just a little bit more expensive because it's pre-painted on the whole. And this western one, well, this is a World War II scene, all dusted in icing, which looks rather stunning. Although I have to say, with 28mm scale models with snow scenes, everything looks very contrasty. I've never been a fan. I prefer little subtle scattered areas of snow with open ground as well, and maybe some ice around. I don't like it when it's full on white like a Christmas cake or something. But here's a Sassy Gal terrain piece there, which I don't own, but I do own the various other bits and pieces from here, which I play a game called Rules with No Name, which is a 28mm cowboy western style skirmish. Always a favourite of mine, this stand, and I pop by in the foreground. But so, as I was saying, all these come pre-painted, these terrain items. So that station building, which is the one on the left, the station, it's all of that wood panelling and everything, it comes as it is. And there's a bit of fun there, a bit of a Dalek in the middle of action, and why not? I mean, have a bit of fun, get the Daleks out in the Wild West. Now, someone is welcome, if you've watched this deep into the video, to post a comment and tell me what episode of Doctor Who had Western scene and Daleks in it. Thank you. So these are the Kravac again, and I'm glad I spotted these and took that nice little Photoshop pause there, which you could pause on and see the detail. Almost missed this footage, and it was somewhere on the hard disk, and you can just see just how fantastic these are. Those little ones there, the stocky, stumpy ones, really love the style. Super detailing. They're going to take some great paint from an airbrush or hand painting. See, the fighters there are great too. Those two, I mean, the big ship's fantastic, the battleship, but those two on the right, particularly like the design and the way it tapers towards the front and almost insectoid on that right hand one there. So yes, you can see they're sort of up to about £14 for the battleship. So you can get a fleet together really for 35, 40 quid, or you could build bigger than that for full thrust if you wanted to. But certainly fantastic game, and those are great models. Another freeze pause there moment, which you could pause to get a proper look at those Kravac. So it was a great show day really, and I managed to resist buying any of these Kravac because I've got so many projects on 15mm scale that I didn't invest, but I was very close to getting a starter fleet. Managed to resist. So here I am wandering around. You can see the kind of, it's a British show, so there's no carpet on the floor, spit and sawdust. But these Oshiro terrain people have been at Salute for years and years, and to start with they just did a very small range of Oriental Japanese buildings, but I noticed on the stand that he's got several of these. They're for 28mm scale. You can see fantastic painted little terrain items. Of course, my eye was instantly drawn to opportunities. You can see that £4 and £5 one in the middle of the frame there. I bought those, as well as other bits and pieces on the stand along this bottom row too, because perfect again for those ones. 28mm, obviously, clearly, but the other ones were multi-scale really, and they can be used on a 15mm layout. These were, the chap does commissions, so this was just sort of showing off his range of models that have been commissioned. So there's a sort of Imperial style flyer and various other items on the stand, like that nice spaceship with the boat style to it, which was a scratch built. So clearly what he does is build and cast up those nice resin pieces, which I say I bought a set of detailing some 15mm terrain, but he also does bespoke pieces. So I'm browsing back round again to take another look across the stand. They do a nice Perspex paintbrush stand. I've always acrylic paintbruch stand, the clear one at the back. Always fancied getting one of those, and I was sorely tempted again, but held off. So yeah, you can see so nice. That's the sort of Japanese theme stuff that he does, along with the acrylic clear bases as well. So I do have another couple of hours of footage if you really want to go through it. Put a post on here and say, Ryan, please load all the other show footage and tell us about it, because at the moment, it's very dry, isn't it? Just looking in cabinets and me talking. But if you find that sort of thing interesting and you're happy to sit and watch and hear me rambling on about those things I see and my views on it, I will load it. But please ask me to do it, because I've had a few negative comments about just the boring factor of these videos, not having enough interesting content in. So if you want to see it, please post and say yes, we want to see the rest of the show footage, and I'll do a voiceover and upload it to share. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you again soon with a 15mm terrain update on their warehouse.